It's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and it's time for another garden tour brought to you by my sponsor, Bessie's Seeds. It's December 1st. We had a cold night. First real, it's been fall. We've had cold, some degree of cold, but now it's actually starting to feel like late fall. As you can see around me, the garden is, we'll do a little garden tour here, but everything's frozen up a little bit. Soil's a little bit frozen. I'm expecting it to thaw later on today. We're having those kinds of temperatures where it's now getting down around freezing at night and then warming up into the sort of single digits, maybe double digits, but usually single digits, high single digits during the day. I'm talking Celsius here. So let's go have a look around and see what's happening. All right, so outside here in the garden, I got everything all squared away. I got leaves and stuff to hold the leaves down on this garden here where I normally plant potatoes. This sort of giant compost bin. I got a whole bunch of leaves in it and more bags of leaves, and this time of year I'm just continually hoarding leaves to use in my garden. And in the garden I'm in the process of getting every bed covered and ready for next year. Any weeds, I pull them, and then I cover the whole thing with leaves, and then usually use something to weight the leaves down so they don't blow away. You can see I got some bags of leaves in queue, just waiting for things to thaw out a little bit today. I'm hoping to get out, do a little work this afternoon. I just need the soil to loosen up. It's still not the case that things are freezing and staying frozen, although that could happen anytime. I've been putting things off. You notice I haven't been putting as many videos out as normal. It's just been busy this month, and I apologize for that. It just happens sometimes. So anyway, I got a lot to do out in the garden. Thankfully, I've got two teenagers to help. This garden's almost done. This one here is completely covered. This is where I had my zucchini last year. I got leaves and some spruce boughs, and then some of these posts I use for, staking things on top to hold everything down. That bed's all ready for next year. This one here still needs to get some leaves on it. This bed has got parsnips in it, and most of them are still in the ground, but it's time to get pulling them, right? Because it's cold. They're going to get frozen in if I wait too much longer. I like to leave my parsnips, and you can't really see, but we got some greens here, right? So yeah, it makes perfect sense to leave them in the ground as long as you can, because the flavor gets better, because more of the starches in the roots get converted to sugar. You just get a better tasting parsnip. They also store better when you've got more, basically, starch converted to sugar, because sugar is like a preservative, right? So anyway, I'm putting it off and putting it off to get the best result possible, but now it's time to get them out of the ground as soon as the ground thaws. Another bed here all ready for next year. Just needs some leaves. This hasn't been dismantled yet. I got some kale. As you can see, this is nice. This is the time of year. A lot of people finish their gardening in September, but this is the time when the kale looks like this. It has its best flavor, right? And this won't kill the kale, right? As long as the ground's not frozen, and we've only got like the top, the ground's only slightly frozen right now. It's basically all of this will be, probably going to get up to 5 or 7 degrees Celsius today, and it's nice and sunny, so everything will thaw out today. But this kale is still, it keeps growing as long as the ground isn't frozen. And so the flavor just gets better and better and better and better. So that you want to leave your kale in the ground and just keep harvesting it. Don't pull the plants, don't shut the garden down if you've got kale. So these are just a few I moved here because I had the space. This was peas, I guess. But these are really good kale now. This garden got covered in seaweed. I still got to put some leaves on there, but this is a garlic. Swiss chard. I still got some Swiss chard in the garden. It really can't handle too many cold nights, so it's time to harvest all. It's not as tough like the kale. So the Swiss chard needs to all come out and get blanched and frozen and put away. It's time just to start gorging on it and preserving it. So that needs to happen. Also, I meant to do a video on this Swiss chard in particular. I'll put the name up on the screen. It actually, you can't see here, but it makes, I'll have to do it when the ground's thawed. I'll have to do a video on this. But this Swiss chard, it makes a beet. It's Swiss chard, but it makes a beet, has a beet-like root. And we've eaten it, and the root tastes good. It's very sweet, beet-like root. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get this fantastic Swiss chard all year. Then in the fall, you've got a sizable, maybe like, maybe hardball sized, a little bit less. But a sizable beetroot, because Swiss chard and beets are relatives, right? A sizable root that's edible. Here, you can see this one over here. because the root's semi-exposed. I don't know if you can see that, but there's the root right there. All right, so it's like a size of 2-inch diameter sort of thing, maybe 3 inches long. Sizable root after a season of growing. I've got still got some beets in the ground here. These don't look like much, but they're actually a sizable plant. Any one of these has a decent sized root, right? That's maybe, I don't know, 3 inches long by 1.5 inch diameter. This is a variety that's sort of long and narrow, right? So you get this size or slightly larger depending on how much sun and nutrients the plants get. But these all have to come out as well. This is it. It's time to pull them. Over here, this is all garlic. They're all planted. These plank and stuff are just to push everything down and sort of get it stuck in place. But I will take this wood off of here. Next spring I won't do anything with this. This will just be a garlic bed. All the garlic will come up through these leaves and spruce boughs. It'll just be fine. This bed is kale. Got lots of kale still in the garden. We're just using it as often as possible, but it's time to start thinking about blanching and freezing and putting this kale away. Now, when you see it look like this, it's not going to taste any better. This is about as good as this is as good as it gets for kale. So it's time to use it all and put it away. Got a strawberry bed here. Again, when you start seeing it like this day after day after day, the strawberries aren't going to grow anymore. So it's time to cover the strawberries. They're done. Everything's done growing now, right? We're into December. Some years this stage of things happens in November, but this year we just had a very warm fall, unseasonably warm fall. So now it looks like November is happening in December. So it's time to cover these strawberries. I got some work to do over here with these raspberries here. I've got this cage around them to protect them from little rabbits getting in the garden and eating them in the winter, which happens. But the cage is so close to the raspberries that the plants rub against it, and in strong winds they break. So it's less than ideal. I mean, I got a raspberry harvest this year, first year ever, and I made some nice raspberry jam, which we're still enjoying. I got about maybe 4 or 5 jars of raspberries out of these. So next year should be even better if I can take care of them. But yeah, I need to change. I think maybe I need to put the cage on the outside of the rocks, and I think I need to stake the raspberry canes so they don't wave around, and at least stake them higher than the cage so they're not waving around in the breeze getting broken. That's my thinking anyway. Got a whole bunch of sunchokes here that need to be harvested. Right, this just seems to be my sunchoke corner, so why not, right? But yeah, got a bunch of sunchokes in there, need to be harvested. Asparagus bed needs to be mulched. More kale over here. Right. This bed is all ready for next year. I just need to pull the weeds and cover it. This was onions, I think. So now I have to plant something next year that isn't onions. Over here I got the strawberries. Strawberries need to be mulched. And my long-suffering lingonberries, which did produce some berries this year, but I've never had a year where they produced enough. Or it's the case, I mean, we've got ruffed grouse and pheasant here. I just saw one on the way into the garden. So it's very possible, I mean, they're called partridge berries probably for a reason. Very possible that the pheasants and the ruffed grouse are just getting to these before me every year. I never have enough for a jam, which is the reason I planted them. So I really don't know what my solution is to my lingonberry problem. But anyway, that's that. Got a decent haul out of the grapes this year. I didn't have enough. I sent my kids out to pick them, and I guess they missed these ones. But I got enough grapes to make a kind of either a grape jelly or a grape juice. I've noticed that no one likes the grape jelly, so I make grape juice. You know, you just mush it all. These are a wine grape, so they're not like an eating grape. They've got a strong taste. So I just mash them, strain them, add a bit of sugar, pour it in a glass with some club soda or whatever, and it's delicious. Very unique flavor. You're not going to get anything like that in a store because it's a wine grape. Other than that, yeah, all the trees are doing fine. I'm really hoping next year I get some apples. Right, this tree should be big enough to start flowering. So I've got this is a pear tree. It's supposed to be self-pollinating, we'll see. But this is an apple tree, and it's never pollinated because I only got one decent apple tree in the garden. So I'm hoping this one, I think it's a Sweet 16, should be mature enough to give me apples, to pollinate the other apple tree. Now I got a bit of a situation with this tree. I'm going to have to deal with it at some point, where we've got two competing central leaders, right, which you don't want. So what I plan to, and you should never have, you got your main central leader and a branch coming off. The branch shouldn't be like half the diameter of your central leader. If you have that on a tree, it'll break. So probably in the spring, what I will do is I will cut this whole thing off. Right, I left it for the year so that I could gather energy. Right, but in the spring, in March, I'll cut that off. So I'll just have one central leader, and I can prune and train that tree properly. Okay, so that's the plan for this apple tree, just to get it growing well. We don't need two central leaders banging against one another and making a mess. I might even cut it off down here just to keep it from, before winter. And then I'll cut the bottom part after winter. That's probably what I should do. That way at least I can have this point here to hold the tree in place. But yeah, I'm expecting great things. This pear is growing really well, so I can't wait to see what happens with this next year. And of course, all of my Hascap berries. We'll do some pruning on these next spring. Everything's looking great. The blueberries, I did a video last year on witch's broom and how you'll still get blueberries if your plants have witch's broom, but you do need to manage it. So you can see I got my blueberry bushes here, but down below, down here, that's witch's broom. The way that new growth is coming in, right? You can just tell this one here is healthy new growth, and this is witch's broom. It's just got this funny scabby texture. So all that needs to come off. Whatever energy that's pulling from the plant, it's not doing any good. But so you just manage it. You just manage it and enjoy your blueberries. Right? It's just how you do it. All kinds of trees in nature grow with witch's broom. Doesn't kill the tree. It's less than ideal. You don't want it on a plant. And this one here, which is a different variety, doesn't seem to have it somehow. Must be resistant. But this, I think I've got two varieties of blueberry. This one and these. There might be two different varieties among these. I don't know. But anyway, we get some witch's broom. Not great, but not the end of the world. Finally, over here we got our pond, and as you can see, it's frozen. It's not that frozen. I'd say we got an inch of ice, and maybe even not an inch. And it'll all be probably melted some point today. And the pond's very full. I got big plans for the pond, and as you can see, so the pond did really, really well this year, right? The water was actually pretty clear this year, eventually, and it's because I got so much aquatic life going in the garden. I got the watercress, which I just got from a store, and just various pond plants that I just brought in from local ditches, basically. What a friend of mine calls ditch shopping. I should do a video on that. So I got cattails and some other aquatic plants. And the combination of all of those is that they seem to do a really good job of taking up nutrients and clearing the water. I mean, I got way too many goldfish in here. There's over a dozen. I can't even count them because they had babies. And I got a plan to go to my other pond, my original pond, make it bigger and deeper, and have more room for goldfish. I also plan to, at some point, my goodness, look at that. We've got enough sun. See the water dripping there? That means So underneath the water here, I've got hanging off of that duck decoy, there's a pump. The pump's connected to that solar unit there. And despite the pond being frozen, there's water cycling up through the hose and dripping down here and going back into the pond. Anyway, as nice as this is, what I'd like to do next spring is take all these rocks away and extend the pond all the way to that stump over there and have a kind of really shallow part of the pond where the water's, I might even double up the pumps, but have the water cycling through this very long meandering, I'm going to kind of terraform it, meandering shallow part of the pond, almost like a slow river. And hopefully that will even clean the water more. And when there's floods, the goldfish can go up into that shallow part and feed. And then when the water recedes, they'll just go back to the deeper part of the pond. But the idea is to just give the fish more real estate, right? And that's the idea, just to remove all these rocks. A major project. Remove all these rocks and extend the pond a long, narrow fjord all the way to this stump here. And you know, we'll see if I get around to that, but that's my major plan for next year. Make the pond longer, narrower, and just increase the amount of area, the amount of area the pond has, and hopefully all of that aquatic life, various things I have growing there, will further improve the quality of the water. I mean, all kinds of people commented saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need an air pump, you need a filter, blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff is aesthetic, that human beings care about. This, I mean, the water's a bit cloudy right now because we just had a lot of rain. So the cloudiness is just clay washed in from this hill. Basically, the water comes down the hill, gets through everything. It gets filtered to some extent by all this stuff, but basically there's always clay in the water. So temporarily, when I get a big rainstorm, the water clouds up a little bit. The goldfish don't care about that. It doesn't seem to affect them at all. If anything, I think it helps them hide from their predators. But before we had this rain, this water was pretty darn clear. You could see all the way to the bottom. I should have filmed that because it's taken a few years to get there. And I keep meaning to do a dedicated video on how I built this pond. I took footage. Just haven't had time to edit the footage. Anyway, that's where we are, December 1st, 2024. We had an incredible growing season this year. And I still got a lot to do in the garden before everything freezes solid, even though it looks pretty frozen right now. Yeah, this was a great year, and I can't wait for next year. Now it's time to think about buying seeds and all that sort of stuff. And I just got an email from my sponsor, Vessi Seeds. They're going to partner with me again for another year, so we'll have a new coupon code. The current coupon code, GAVS24, would have expired yesterday. It's now December, so we'll get a new coupon code. I'll put that up on my Facebook page or whatever. I'll probably make a dedicated video as soon as I get that, those details of that finalized. It should be probably this weekend. Great place to get Christmas presents for your loved ones. And of course, a great place to buy seeds. As usual, sometime in the winter, I'll do a video where I show you where everything's going to be planted and my rationale for all of that. But this is the time of year we start making big plans for next year. And we try to get whatever we can get done in the garden before the ground freezes. So that's where things are right now. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast at maritimegardening.com. And check out my weekly Substack article at maritimegardening.substack.com. And otherwise, until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.